Stop fixing things you do not understand. Most leaders believe speed is an advantage, and in most of the time it is. But they learn something the hard way. When it comes to organizational change, moving fast in the wrong direction is often worse than standing still. I remember being involved in an initiative where everybody already had solutions. People wanted new meetings, new structures, new KPIs, new processes. Everybody had an opinion. The only thing nobody seemed interested in was understanding what was actually happening. And that's where I started noticing a pattern. It wasn't just happening in that situation. That's where I start seeing the same mistake everywhere. Leaders were moving fast, teams were working hard, solutions were everywhere, but diagnosis was nowhere. Let me give you a real example. A company launched a major improvement initiative. Everything looked well prepared: plans, KPIs, communication. But after a few weeks, engagement dropped, confusion increased, execution slowed down. Leadership started asking, why isn't this working? Sounds familiar? I've seen this many times. And honestly, sometimes I have been part of the problem myself. Because leaders are often rewarded for action, not for diagnosis. We feel pressure to move, pressure to decide, pressure to demonstrate progress. But change does not care how fast you move. Change cares whether you're solving the right problem. If you are responsible for leading change, consider subscribing. This channel is built for leaders who have to execute change in reality, not just discuss it in PowerPoint. Here's what I eventually learned. Many organizations confuse symptoms with problems. For example, typical symptom: people resist. What is the actual problem? People don't understand the purpose. Next one: simple, slow execution. The actual problem behind is ownership is unclear. Next symptom: low engagement. You know this one. Actual problem: leaders behave inconsistently. Very different solutions, very different outcomes. And this is exactly where the delta analysis phase becomes indispensable. Because organizational change rarely fails from lack of solutions. It fails because leaders start solving before they truly understand what needs to change. The purpose of analysis is not to create another report. The purpose is to understand the reality before designing intervention. Before asking, what should we do? Ask, what is actually happening and what are we trying to achieve? Two simple questions often skipped. The practical tool I use is called Change Diagnosis Canvas. Very simple, three sections. Section 1: Current state. Ask, what is happening? What evidence do we have? What behaviors do we observe? Not opinions, evidence. Section 2: Target state. Ask, what should be different? What should people do differently? How would success look? The more specific, the better. Section 3: Gap. Ask, what prevents movement? What is missing? What needs to change? This is where diagnosis starts becoming useful. Because now we are no longer guessing, we are comparing reality with ambition. Let me ask you something. Think about the biggest change initiative currently running in the organization. Can you clearly describe the current state, the target state, and the gap between them? Or are people already discussing solutions? That question alone reveals a lot. When analysis is done properly, priorities become clearer, resources are focused, execution accelerates, and resistance decreases. Instead of solving 10 problems, you solve the right one, and that changes everything. Here is one thing you can do today. Take one change initiative and write down current state, target state, and biggest gap. One page, no PowerPoint, no workshop, just clarity. If you do only this, you will already be ahead of most organizations. If you're currently leading a transformation, restructuring effort, culture initiative, or organizational change, and want help diagnosing what is really slowing execution down, reach out. Sometimes one conversation can reveal a blind spot that months of meeting never uncover. Change rarely fails because people don't care. It fails because leaders start solving problems before they truly understand them. And once you understand that, everything changes.